Is the MCA program located on the Captus 4000E. MCA is useful particularly for counting pledgets, but you can also count any other unknown activity or you can do thyroid uptakes. It's a simple program that allows you to use either the probe or the well. And for example, we're going to look at counting, say, a pledget today. So let's say we're going to do the counting setup. We always select live time, not real time. Real time is the time that's on the wall. Live time is the actual time the machine would count. We usually put in 60 seconds, which covers counts per minute. So once we've got this in, then we want to enter an ID, and we're going to count a test pledget. So we put in test pledget. And you may have 6 of these if you're doing pledget counting, so you can number them in that order. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to pull from the regions of interest library what you would be counting, the isotope you would be counting. Probably if we're counting pledgets, we're going to be counting indium-111, so we would select indium-111. We'd say done. And now we've got all of our regions of interest in there, so we're ready to begin our count. We simply place the pledget into the well, and we start the count. And it starts the count here. You'll be here seeing your real time, your live time, and your dead time. This will count for a grand total of 60 seconds in live time, which will be greater than the 4 seconds, or greater than the real time, which would mean that it's going to probably count about 65, 66 seconds real time. So once we get this count completed, then we can store the information. We'll save the results. We can then go back and pull these results up later. It's very important each time to save the results. If you want to look and see what the counts are for the different regions of interest, you can just use the roller ball here and scroll up and down to see what they are. If while the machine's counting, you want to look and see what the peak is here, you can do the cursor readout right here, which will give you all the information and tell you which region of interest it's in. So we're at KEV of 229, we're at region of interest 1 at this position here. This position here is region of interest 2, and where we have the cursor is at 167. Once it's finished this 60-second count, you want to make sure that you go up here and you save the results. So you would save the spectrum. Be sure to save the spectrum, and this would be our test pledget. So TST-PLEDGET, and then we would save this, and it would be saved. Now we've saved that information. We can also save the results as a raw spectrum, or we can export it to Excel. If we have Excel, we want to look at it. It'll show you all the counts in the 1024 channels. So once we've got this information saved, we can exit this program. And then we can come back in and say, yeah, I want to go back and look at that test pledget. So then you would load the previous spectrum. You would go up and you'd say test pledget, and you would open it. It would bring that information up. And let's say we want to look at a different region of interest. So we've pulled this up. Out of calibration indicates we pulled it up from storage. And now we want to clear all the regions of interest, and we want to create a region of interest, say from about 100 to 300 here. So there's 2 keV per channel, so we would start at 50, and then we would 150 times 150 is 300, so we'd put 150 here, and then we would simply click over here, and it creates a new region of interest for us, covering the 100 to 300 keV range. And we can scroll up here, we can look and say, okay, we've got the integral count of 1,300,000 there, as you can see. And just look at your cursor readout. If you print this out, it'll give you all the details about the count you've had. You can do this MCA for thyroid uptakes, you can do it for pledget counting, anything you want to count, unknown activities, etc. You can always save your results to Excel. You can load previous settings, load previous counting setups, whatever you want to load up here. And then you want to always give it an ID, which would show up in this part. This kind of covers the setup for the MCA counting, a very simple setup for doing counts either on the probe or the well.